Looks like we are live. We are live. We are live. Okay. That was fun. I don't think I have to hear anything on the mic. Let's get that set up though. Technical difficulties. Let's go with test, test, test. Test, test, test. Nope, gonna happen again. Whoops. You folks should have heard the amazing things I was just saying while my mic was muted. It's poetic. It was well thought out. It was beautiful. Really smooth. Oh, God love it. All right, so the welcome to the design stream. My name is Trevor from Just Enough Design and Ugly Design Career. Trying something different today. Wanted to have a live design session. So what I'll be namely working on is just a website that I received from a previous mentee that I had seen on ADP list, where I do mentorship. I had sent this design. We'd kind of walk through it. Now, if you are joining the stream and you happen to have a design that you would like assistance with, either from scratch or you have a website or you have an application, you'd like some reviews of it, very happy to see it. Just pass it along into chat and I'll take a look and see what we can do about improving it, feedback for it, all of the above. Okay, as best as I can tell, we got the microphone running. I think the stream is going. So yeah, no chats coming in just at the moment, but anything does come up, just pop in. Let me know what you might like some assistance with, and we can roll it from there. Let's get started with this one. So this was a mentee I'd met with a couple months ago, or maybe even more, which I feel a bit bad about. We had talked about trying to do some fix-ups for his website and didn't quite get around to it, but now I have the opportunity to. So my intention here, unless somebody puts something in the chat, is to go through this design, just kind of talk about my process of how I would clean this up and make it a bit visually better. Now, there is a grander conversation to have from a design perspective. Of course, you'd want to know what are the goals of the company, who's the target market, what data do we have about where people are coming from, like how might we better focus this design on one of those things. However, for the purpose of a stream, we're not going to go do in-depth research. Instead, we are going to just assume that there is some good content involved here, and we're going to work on the visuals about how we might improve this design. I suppose the other caveat to say really is improve the design. There'll be some things that are, I think, can be universally agreed upon. That it's like, this looks better. You know what I mean? Like there's kind of no denying that of the two designs, this is a bit more refined. But that there's a stop there. At some point, it's going to be, you can kind of get it up to a point, and then you have to say, but this is good design, but then this is just how Trevor likes it, or this is how Daryl likes it, or just so Suzanne likes it. There's a lot of personal preference when it comes to design. So I can't say like whatever I end up with is the be all and end all, but I think we're going to arrive at a place that says this is better. Like this feels better, and then hopefully have some direction of how they might improve it. So we are in Figma. The first thing that we did is we grabbed the URL for this website. We were able to drag in the entire thing. There's this plugin for Figma, HTML2 Design. You can paste in any website, just as I did here, and it goes out and grabs everything, drags it into Figma. So now it's all editable elements. There's going to be some little like funky bits that you have to kind of work around, but generally speaking, this works stunning. It is so cool and saves so much time. So HTML.2 design, and this is within Figma. And ultimately what I've resulted in now is I have a version of this website that I have all the elements that I can muck around with. Now, as I try to edit, you'll know some things kind of mess around or kind of break, but we'll kind of fix that as we go. Let's take a copy so we can have kind of like a before and after. Don't have any timelines necessarily. And again, if you are listening in the chat and you want something reviewed, just put it into the chat. I'll be happy to take a look. So happy to interrupt this process if I have anybody live joining me on stream that wants something done. So now we are looking at this site. Real Sales Video. This company produces high quality animated explainer videos in a number of styles for a number of avenues. The entrepreneur that started is a fantastic guy, really hardworking. I think he's going to have a lot of success with it, but we had discussed the website and I wanted to look into it. Let's take a quick look through just as an overview. Okay, I got the initial header, this banner's here. So this is what we do. Here's like the three things looks like the benefits of working with them. If you get a video, what is the kind of like the list of things that we do, companies we work with. The best part is, you know what, if I get to this is live, if I get to the end of this and it's actually statively worse, this video is going to be just embarrassing to have up, but that's okay. I think we're going to arrive there. Okay, so here's who we work with. That's great. A little bit of social proof. Why we make animations. So kind of a, heartfelt statement. Their process. We answer your questions. Talking about some sort of schedule a talk with them. So this isn't part of their site. This is just a Figma mess up. So we'll clean that up. Here's some more testimonials. That's cool. Here's, our quality guarantee. There's another specific quote, which is wonderful, and then some FAQs. Okay, we translate your story into animations. Now, again, I think if you were approaching this like this is a client, and I wanted to take my time and go through this, like you'd be doing a lot more work about brand and colors and stories and everything like that. We're going to be a little bit slapdash just to see what we can do within our streaming time here to improve the visuals of it. So now I'll say that it's one of the challenges I'm kind of having. So immediately I think what we can see, let's zoom in here. These colors are a bit difficult. Let's put it that way. This kind of seafoam green is tricky. You know, there could be something to it and you might be able to work within it, but I think to work with such a bold and kind of difficult color means that you're going to have to work extra hard to make the design work. And also then like what colors work with it. When we do look at this blue, and the one interesting thing that they've kind of done well is if we look at the logo, those are their brand colors, right? So that's where they're started with. So you can appreciate the attempt to stay within the brand. But ultimately, when you're looking at this kind of seafoam green, followed by the blue against it, this, and in fact, it actually looks like it's a bit of a purple. That's not looking great. You know, that's really kind of fighting, in my view, right? And then we get into the white. If we think about the amount of contrast between this white and that green, that's not really striking. That's not really seeming to be enough. And then lastly, this other kind of, it's cool that there's this big bright green, and it is a very noticeable, by far the most noticeable. So the call to action is super noticeable, but it's, again, like between it, you know, look at this on its own, kind of interesting. And also just like that bright with this purple in itself is a style, but in the context of everything, it's all just sort of fighting with one another. And then we look up and we have this orange introduced over this way here. So altogether kind of difficult. Now this is a problem that seems to permeate throughout. See, I dig this sort of softer blue. It's a bit boring in the sense that so many tech companies use it, but there's a reason that so many tech companies use it. Like soft, subtle blue, always a great color choice. And again, immediately you can kind of see the benefit of like this. And again, I think we'll call it like a purple. Yeah, this purple and this blue, you could see how well those two sit together compared to this, right? So we have challenges, we have problems. Yeah, we have these boxes here. I am a sucker for drop shadows. I absolutely adore it. But if we think about how crowded this is, right? You never want to have it so that the borders are actually touching. You want everything to feel comfortable and well spaced within it. When we're looking inside of these things, so many of these logos are just butted up right against. So everything feels crowded. Now I feel crowded. I feel problematic within those logos. So that's a huge red flag. And then given how close they are, you're just seeing this whole thing just feels busy and crowded. So that's something we're going to want to look into. And again, so now here, again, with the blue and the green, you could almost see it start to work. But this green just ends up being like such a flag, such a wild color. So we can look into that. How we make them. So that the process is interesting. Now let me get to the actual website. What was it? Because I'm curious if the thing on the left is animated. Let me pull up the plugin. Plugins, HTML to design. There it is. Let's grab it. Let's go. Okay, so that's animated. That's cool. Okay, so what I was curious about is if it changed like in place or if like it, if it itself like was animated and changed along with this stuff, but I think it's more that. Okay, so let's head on back. Go to that. So I think the first thing to solve really is the color, and I think we have some difficulty. We don't want to necessarily say like, okay, well, it's hard to design with, so change your logo. This logo would be in a number of other places. Who knows if they like paid for it, so we might have to work within it. So now you notice the thing that I just did. I just ungrouped it so I could touch the individual elements, and immediately it just I just lost this bar. That has a shadow on it too. Kind of want to save it. If I do this and I go ungroup, it's going to drop it. So be it. Okay, now let's move that one in behind. Now it's got the okay. That is one of the trickiest parts about this plugin is that it will usually do the auto layout, which if you see, if I try to drag things on top of each other, because I'm, again, things like auto layout and having it go properly are fantastic. It's really exciting to do that type of thing, but in this type of design exercise where we are trying to quickly just like rip through, make some changes, make some updates, it can actually be a bit of an impediment. Okay, if we do, let's see if it has auto layout. I don't think so. Let's try to ungroup it. Can I get to my pieces yet? Not quite. Ungroup. Now, what is this font? I mean, so this is obviously a problem. So right now it's all bold, and you hover over top of it, and then it loses its boldness. I'm not sure if that's coming out on the stream, but hover state loses the bold, as opposed, you'd almost think it'd be the reverse, or more ideally it'd be color. And then it's kind of like tiny text otherwise. Then when we hover over top this last one, it actually expands the box. In some ways that's kind of like development and things to change. So that we'd want to have reverse, but it's just not a great kind of font, or at least like a font treatment. I'm almost curious if you want to have it capitalized there, but we'll get into it. What is this font? This font is, where are you at? Font family. Barlow. Do we have Barlow on this computer? Oh, yeah, I do too. How about that? Yeah, I come prepared. All right. So I'd started to do all that because I wanted to pull out these colors and start to play with them. So this is a green, seafoam green, same one as put in there, and we had this blue purple. That is challenging because I'm not sure those are complementary. Let's go to the internet. Complementary color checker. What I'm trying to find is I'm trying to see if there's something that'll tell me I can put in two colors, and if it tells me it is complementary or not. Because I could, like Dollar to Donuts, I don't think those two are actually complementary. Reminder to chat that if you want to design, you just go ahead and post it in. I'm happy to get to you for anyone that's live. We can take a break here. Man, those colors are difficult. It's like they can almost just make a decision. If you think about this logo again, like I don't care to try to suggest changing a logo depending on how much they have on it, but if you think about in the grand scheme of things, if they were to make this square two things, it's either like a super dark version of the, kind of feels like I'm cheating if we do this because I should be working with what I got, but whoa, what did I do? Is this some more auto layout stuff? I swear. Let's go ungroup. All right. Now, what I'm thinking is this is not going to be perfect. Stroke fill. You could imagine if it was just like black, although generally speaking, you tend to hear it said that you should never go with flat black because there's no depth to it. So usually like a super dark gray kind of helps. And again, you hardly even notice it, but just in the grand scheme of things, having like some darker gray as opposed to black is always interesting. So very least immediately, like as soon as you see that, you're not like, what have we lost compared to the purple, right? Nothing. And almost like, again, you can almost like, you can see it. Like this seafoam is so bold. Like it's so uncommon. It's like to be interesting. So what I was going to say there is you can either go with that, or even if you want to go even further into just the design one, we grab that one and we tint it. So we're grabbing the green and then we're just going to tint it darker. So we'll just like lean into the green. I kind of prefer the gray where we're at. Let's go with 3s. Or I can even like, just because the rest of the logo is black and I don't want to keep cheating that too much. Let's go with 0s. Yeah. You know what? Like, again, like you would be hard pressed. Here's the original. Except for all the most eagle eyes, you would never know it. And then just getting rid of that purple as a design concern, I feel is going to really help. And that's going to just move us along here. So let's work with Seafoam and see if we can... Oh, let's get rid of auto layout before it continues to mess my stuff. Da, 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 da. How much you want to bet if I click into every single... Yeah, it's going to do that. The only thing about that plugin I don't like. Now if we ungroup it, what's it going to do? At this point, it must be just faster to type. So many layers. Oh, I'm so impressed with some people's Figma files. So this was, again, just done by a plugin, HTML to design. So it's just doing the best job possible. But you do download some people's design files or design systems, and the complexity and the depth of it is just stunning. So which I'll always appreciate. My only problem is like at some point, at stages of the design, it just slows it down. Like you're fighting a system as opposed to getting your ideas out there. And then you can refine after you've kind of arrived. Let's see. All right. Great, so if that's the case, what I'm going to suggest is, okay, so this header altogether is just, it is dull, right? So we have all this space and these people do big, interesting animation videos, and we have this like tiny little square here with the content. Animation videos that generate revenue. Okay, if I ungroup, I imagine it's going to lose a bunch of stuff, and that's okay. Like, I think it's nice to see the product. But I just wonder and worry about... Like, it's not very captivating as a header, right? Like, it's not grabbing me and kind of telling me a story about what might I get if I work with this group and this company. It's not it's not, I don't feel it's like relaying the quality that the company would be able to offer. Because if you see from some of their examples, they're very much there. Now, I'm not making any final decisions here. I'm just kind of setting up the palette to start to figure things out. Let's go with, let's get rid of... Okay, so here's that. Now I had started to look online for comparatives, and I was just like quickly a video animation services, and this was like USA. That was an autocomplete, and I just ran with it. And the ones that came up immediately are, I'll be honest, they're not really great. Like none of them, I didn't see any and thought to myself like, oh, these are all really fantastic. Like I just absolutely adore the designs of them. They tend to be kind of like busy and... Yeah, hard to, like I'm trying to think about what am I supposed to do now with any of these ones. This one is kind of fairly barren, and then all of a sudden like super busy. So we have this vibe, then we come down here, and you kind of need to pick a lane. This one was a bit more interesting as far as like the art. What I enjoyed was, as opposed to a video, it's using the entire space to tell the story. And then by having just that subtle animation, it kind of drives it home. So we were talking about an animated element, right? So without an actual, and then that way it kind of frees us to use the entire space. So the banner becomes this like large central welcome, like, oh my goodness, this looks fantastic piece. That I thought was a bit more interesting. I think we might have some legs here, something we might be able to do. This one, I think largely this has the same problem as what we're already fighting. This one, what I loved was that there's a huge video in the background. So immediately, again, it's like, oh, this company sells animations. Like, okay. So that always made sense to me. But again, like the problem is like that versus the front animation. There just ends up being a lot going on. Oh, don't be making noise. Okay, great. Okay, I'm just checking on chats. Very good. What if I can add a banner here just to kind of get the message across that design. Oh. It's almost like I need a... Ooh. Let's see if this one works. That's not bad. Okay. Learning something every day about my platforms. One design help. Your request in. Not bad. Okay. That we can work with. Great. Let's roll with that. Yeah, so that was interesting. It's just the only challenge was, again, they did this same type of thing, which I think gives us something to play off of. But, too many layers, too many fights. And then we had our site itself. So, around that, let's work around, let's get this guy out of here. How much room do I have? Let's move everything down. God, my favorites within Figma, if you don't hold controller command while you're scrolling, it just, oh, it wasn't doing it. Huh. Shows what I know. Oh, there it goes. Okay, you see some of the elements like on screen there? I'm pointing at my screen as if you could see my hands. But at the top there, you can see like everything just move around. Okay, go back. Undo's your buddy. Okay, there we go. Let's extend that the heck down and give us some room to work. Ooh, can we... I would love if that got removed. All of the auto layout. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so now we have this canvas with which to work. Can you see how immediately almost like this green becomes interesting, right? Like it's not so bad as a series of colors with that kind of works. I'm not sure it's 100% there, but still, like it immediately just is screaming at us, like almost in a good way. Group and group and group and group, so I can play with it. I almost just want to redraw everything because this is going to kill me. All right. Now let's find, it would be good, of course, to get if we're going to actually rebuild this site, we'd want to find the actual like characters we were at, right? Like we'd want to find the actual characters from any of the particular animations, but for this sake, we're going to go animated explainer characters. See if we can find some that are on kind of a blank background for us. PNG. That's close, not quite. No. We can also How close is that to the style? Be nice if he was at a desk. I made a character desk. Do we have any on the actual site? I can maybe just grab that instead. That's close. Not quite. Yeah, like that's kind of it. It's a GIF. I wish it wasn't. Finding an image. It's. I mean, I hate to spend so much time on what in essence is kind of like a throwaway item, but you know, it's going to help set the tone for the rest of it. And I find like when I'm doing these kind of just visual refreshes, it just helps impeccably. Let's try something. I believe that Mac might have a thing where we can remove background. File, remove background. Did a whole video on this thing, but somebody had shown it recently. Tools, remove background. How sweet would that be? Not good enough. I really don't want to go into Photoshop. Or even Canva or anything else for that matter. Tell you what, let's do it that way. I'd have to go into here. Bringing up Canva. So they probably have an image and then a probably have an illustration, and they have their fairly nice background removal tool. Illustration desk. Illustration man at desk. That's close, but not. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, man, at desk. Styles. Stickers, design. Okay. Let's try working. Ooh, that's pretty good. Okay, let's go with this, and there we are. We got him. We got our guy. Now, is there any chance I could just copy and paste him? Or am I gonna have to download it? Anyone want to place a bet? That's a download. Man, I'm gonna download both of these. Those are pretty good. All right. Download, 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 download. Like a white computer. Ah, it's got a white computer. Darn. We're not using that, I guess. But you know, so again, what I'd want to see is I almost feel like I should have just like uploaded this. Bear with me. Let's try it. If we can actually use an actual frame from the video, that'd be pretty sweet. Where is Canva? Any chance? There you are. Okay. One more page. Let's go. Oh, come on. We can do this. Oh, okay. Hold on. You're going to get funky. Right. Let's sigh. Alright, let's do it the old-fashioned way. Export. And desk illustration. No, let's go put you in there. Great. Now to Canva. Let's find, where the heck is that over there? Bring you up. Yep. All right. How good are you going to be with removing your background? Every time I'm so like, if you're watching this and you used to use Photoshop like 10 years ago, and you see the magic that just transpires, like it's, oh my goodness. Oops, can I read? Like at some point, like our kids will be designing and they'll probably just like tell their device exactly the thing that they want. It'll show up and they'll just be staring at us old people like, what do you mean you had a brush and a mask, a transparency mask? And like, like the nonsense we went through to get the same thing that these tools do just so easily. And that's what happened. What happened to my, I brought back the foot. I'll tell you this, if you're paying your designer by the hour and they're wasting as much time as I am, get another designer. I do apologize for it. Oh, but especially again, for visual refreshes, it's just... Coming back? Ah, oh, forget it, man. Let's just go with a foot. We got it. Our dude's going to be footless. Transparent background. Third page. Get out of here. All right, put me in, coach. Let's go. Okay, there's the original. Let's put him there. I'd like him to be facing. I mean, more ideally, like this is. I mean, for all that effort, it kind of a waste of time. Because why would you want to have somebody who looks like down and out? Oh my god. What a waste of my time. Let's go with that one. He like challenges this, but I think we're going to do something with color. So at very least, immediately, we're kind of seeing, like, I don't know that most ideally this person is animating. There was a GIF that came up here. Where was it actually? Because you could almost imagine. I'm just going to paste it in for reference. Where was he? No, it's a bit too intense. No. Sure. Do GIFs work? We're about to find out. Come with me as we just learn of find things within... Okay, I'm having too much fun and not actually focusing on the task. All right. So at very least immediately. So forget everything else, like where we could go. Let's just look at that compared to this, right? Like ultimately, that like we're not even close to like getting our feet wet yet on this, but I think you can see like just this alone, the bringing out the item as opposed to this tiny square, and also kind of fixing some of these issues with the visual contrast, kind of puts us in the right wheelhouse. Now, what I'm kind of curious as far as a challenging us standpoint, I do wonder, and if you are a kind of newer designer doing this type of thing, I do suggest, I really dislike clean design files. Like if you're not seeing like 50 iterations on something, it's just like fast, quick, let's try this. Okay, throw it out. That's terrible. Okay, try this. Now what can we do for the background? Would it look better? We have this blue. Put that to the back. Which that's kind of popping with the green. I don't mind that. So that kind of works as a header. That's kind of interesting. At least we can see that. Now this gets into personal style. Like a thing that I constantly do is have them breaking the box. There's something about that style that I've always loved, of when the elements don't necessarily respect the boundaries. It just creates this rivalry for it. But that's an opinion and a preference. What we do have here is some unfortunate collisions where we wouldn't want this to be white in your final version, because then it kind of looks like it's breaking into it. So again, let's get where have we gotten, right? We started with this, and now look how much it immediately kind of pops out. Now, if we do want to play with so 2 more things, let's go again. What's that you say? A whole nother frame just for an idea? That is right, sir. Okay, let's try 2 things. Let's go. Is there any way we can work with this green? With seafoam. Let's. All right, so that's disconnected. That's cool. I'll say this, like coming from Illustrator and Adobe XD, the amount of time, it is embarrassing how long it took me to discover K to scale as opposed to just dragging the corners. Okay, so that at very least I think has to be black if we're going to have it there. And then the obvious other answer is if it's white. Guess it's just, man, this green is just so perfectly in the middle that I don't know that white or black is going to look any better. Okay, that is something. That's kind of interesting. Now this is hard. Now is this light? No, that's regular. So at very least it'd have to be black, if not. Let's add a bit more line height so it feels comfortable. Okay, that's there. Can we scale it a bit, make it a little larger? I think we're gonna have a real trouble with that visibility, because even with white, I don't think that's gonna hit it. It's okay. It's just still a bit hard to read, and I'm not sure that there's much of a fix with this seafoam. And then if we adjust like how much it's actually seen. That's not bad. So all I did for like the quick like dirty test is I grabbed this and I just reduced the opacity. Yes, you can go into the color itself and be playing with this, but since it's on white, adding a bit of opacity kind of gives you just a quick shot. All right, so if we bring it down there, In this case, you could almost go back to black. We might be able to hit our kind of like softer gray. Right. Do we want to do anything silly? I don't think that. It's kind of cool, but, you know, I'm ambivalent to that. Ambivalent? Ambiguous? I'll say that the larger text is certainly working for me. So let's get this out of town. Wham. You know, when we lighten the sea foam so it's just not so aggressive, it kind of works, right? Something kind of to that. It's just a unique, interesting color. Now we could do two other things I'd be kind of curious of trying. What? Another frame? Are you kidding me? You betcha. I think it probably would be better for my poor computer if I just duplicated the top as a continuing to do so many versions with all this stuff on the bottom. Let's go ahead and like save some bandwidth. Okay, the two things I want to try are, I want to see about taking, it'd be kind of nice to have this entire logo. I don't know how easy would it be for me to get it. Real sales. Well, let's try sales video logo images. How big is this? See, they already kind of have it. Let's see here. Let's grab this. Is it not transparent? All right. Let's see about Canva again. I imagine there's probably some pretty sweet plugins inside of. I'm not going to be able to. Okay, I'll see if I can mask it inside of what's its face? Figma instead. All right, let's give a background to this just so I can notice it. Let's remove this background. Edit background remover. What I'm trying to do is I want to isolate this logo here and then have it behind as a shape and an element. At the very least, we can get this like triangle. And just to break up the monotony of that solid green. It might be too much, but it'd be potentially interesting to see. Okay, share, download. Page 4, transparent. Give it to me, please. Did that actually work? I messed that up. All right. How do we get rid of it? Uh-oh. Once you add a color, is there no to... Okay. Share, download. You want to talk about color choices. That purple and that green, that's something. Okay, page 4. Transparent. One more time. Okay. We in. Now, how can I mask you? It's funny that I'm sometimes fairly certain all this laziness that I'm displaying really would be just better spent doing it in Photoshop correctly. Because I'd probably make it white. You know, I really don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze on this. Okay, I'm going to abandon that. There might be something there, it might be interesting, but for all of the nonsense, I'm just going to go ahead and grab the triangle. Let's see if we can make some... Oh, come on now. Okay, you on your own finally? Great. Let's create like a quick little pattern with it. more of a pattern. So I think, so I've kind of described to some of the junior designers I mentioned, is that generally as you do more and more designs, like what you're largely doing is building a quiver, you know, like of a bunch of different design arrows and ideas. And like I worry sometimes that I'm falling back on a lot of the same tricks I always use. But for instance, like this cut, like having people like break into this, having a repeating pattern in the background. Like there's a few design wells I've always kind of keep going back into. And then as I design more and more, I, have different ones. And all of a sudden now, over the course of some 18-year career that I have a, couple hundred, couple thousand like ideas or different ways to come at a particular problem or solution. Like you just have all these different ways to try and come up with a solution to something someone is facing. All right, not sure that's anything, but before it could be, it's always fun to try it. All of you to the background. All of you, like 10%. And again, if this was an actual client, or you'd want to be looking to spend the time and create like a much better looking designed set of shapes, like that repeat more properly, and like perhaps like to kind of eventually gradiate out into something. Let's put that at like 5. Let me put you a bit more. So just, again, I think I'm gonna put this a bit more down to black, so it's a lot more. Now it's subtle, right? So there's the green, it cuts, like it's kind of interesting. It's like, ideally this person is animating, because animated videos, this person is animating. That all kind of makes sense. These little triangles becomes like an interesting visual element that we can reuse throughout the entire thing. And in so doing, like you could have it, would somebody be able to like pinpoint exactly that's where they got it? No, but it's not to say that, we speak in a language now of triangles, like a triangle, an element, a video, like it all kind of like speaks and it kind of comes into one core thing. So let's compare that. So we started, this will be a bulky kind of way to do this, but it's like that meme, like how it started, where it's going. Right? Now, which company do you think produces higher quality animations of these two? Man, that took an hour. that took so much longer than I would have expected. I would have even told, but again, I was faffing about. That was not highly focused, but there's also just, if you watched that, even on replay, a lot of it was just like play, like you're just like messing around. And the reason I like this, when you get into the visual part of it, again, let's assume we've done the research. Let's assume we've done the content honing. So this is all good, right? For the sake of this video that I'm recording, this is about a visual refresh, a visual update. With all that being said, like all we're doing right now is playing. And what's kind of nice about spending that much time is this informs the entirety of the rest of the design. This is one of the ways that I kind of find, if you can find that language, like you are finding what language you're going to speak on the entire rest of the design, right? Because what we've discovered is that, larger text, kind of bold and black, that's looking good. Friendly animations, breaking the box, going there. Triangle as a visual element to bring a piece of the logo throughout the entire part. We can mess with this this high contrast green. It's kind of interesting, right? So we are just playing around. We are putzing. We are like seeing how it goes. And I spent a silly amount of time finding this graphic, and it's not even one that we can use, right? Like we would need to appropriately get this graphic one that the company had created. But this is the language. This is like the idea. This is the visual, like the friendliest and the contrast and everything that we want to speak. So by spending that inordinate amount of time on it, it informs the rest of our design, and now we can go back to this well. I mean, in some ways too, it's almost like you'd want to, depending on how you're doing this, who you're doing this for, your budget, your timing, everything else, like you would almost want to throw this away and do like 4 new different versions. Just forget this one. Okay, this is done, sealed, signed. Let's do 3 others, just completely crazy ones to see what else we can do. Because you also don't want to necessarily get locked down. You don't want to fall in love with your first idea if you have the time for it. But, you know, we're live. I've already been an hour in. I'd like to get to some of the other visuals. I doubt we'll get through the whole page at the pace I'm going. But let's continue on. So I am liking this the most. Let us continue with that. Where was it? Okay, let's do the move. One back. Okay. When I first had a conversation, this was the first kind of version of it, and already that you can see like some improvements that they'd put in place. And then this was the updated version. And what we're going to do now is just to keep the 2 of them kind of close. Let's go U. Let's delete this header. And let's bring in one of our new winner header. You incorrectly? Cool. And so this is not a great design process necessarily, but I think it is a interesting approach that you can use to get out some great design work. You know, if you're working with a client, I don't know that this is exactly the great way to go about it, but I think you can see in some of this process an idea on how to attempt and grow and kind of build something out. Now, I'm not wild about this. Like, that still doesn't feel like it's enough contrast, but I don't have a great solution for that yet. I mean, I could almost imagine kind of a dirty version of that would be so you can make this black, then you have the text white, but I don't know if that's a good idea. Ugh, that just makes it kind of bold. So I am going to kind of accept that as one of those, you know what, I'd like to come back and clean it up. That's medium. Does that help at all? I don't like how it's like. I'd like it to be cleaner. Now get access to pricing. This is, well, because of all my weird scaling, it's 19 and a weird number. Actually, what are you? Let's go with, let's clean that up to 72. And this video is not even going to touch like the cleanup process before you'd possibly send us to a dev. This this is really all about vibes, if anything. Okay, so that's 20. And we're going to probably end up with that about 20, if not a little bit bigger. What I want to do is about like that, and then make it a bit thicker, like taller. You can see how like wide, it's just weird how wide it is. So the amount of visual impact you're trying to achieve, but in so doing, it looks like a reasonable button was just stretched out to not a useful degree. Let's see. I'm going to check on stream health. Funny if my mic was muted this whole time. Okay, I'm going to try something awful. I hope I don't get too much feedback. Test, test. Test, test. Where would that be even going to? Oh, right. I got like 6 things muted. Sorry. I'm just being like super Concern now, imagine if I'm just talking here. Okay. Apologies, anyone lost watching. Okay, ready? Concern now, imagine. Okay, it's there. We got it. Very good. Okay. So this is where we started, and this is where we are starting to end up. Okay, I just saw some new viewers come in, and the whole time it's just me saying test, test. That's like perfect timing. Okay, we were here, and we have arrived. We've kind of got our design language. Now, the next concern I have is, yeah, this seemed like a reasonable button that someone just kind of grabbed and stretched. It's almost like, let's go ahead and blow up the size of it. So, can we cheat and have this bigger than the rest? Like, generally speaking, you don't want to have too many fonts, and especially if you're not super confident in your designing, you don't want to be adding multiple font treatments, because that's just going to result in visual confusion. Because as much as I want animate that, it's just in so doing this, it's so hard to see this. Okay, let's start there. It's feeling okay. You know, I think we could keep on playing, but I do want to kind of keep moving along here. So now the other thing I'll say is, like, this orange is apropos of nothing. Like it's almost like let's stick with this theme of green. So like our color theories would be black, just for like the text, this kind of softer sea foam, like we can put into the darker one, and then this crazy green with this border and this outline. But then introduce another color, like another orange. Not sure it's wise, and especially if you're looking through this, the rest of the website, it's not anywhere else, right? So why would we kind of introduce it just for a complexity for ourselves? So let's try a few things. So the green, definitely not going to work. Tell you what, let's just get you over there to save you. It's another crazy visual. Let's ungroup it so we can actually mess with it. Get rid of auto layout. Group it again. You gotta kidding me. You're not. Now, I think that's going to be too much. Not to mention the size of it. What are we looking at here? 18. Let's put you down to 18. Let's get it into the top. I think the green's going to be too much. It's not bad. If we get that sizing correct, we might get away with it. Okay, so if we can reduce that down so it's not yelling. If we can size it, it might just end up being just so bold. Like it just, that black and that green, like it makes for something quite interesting, I find. Okay, let's put you there. Let's, oh boy. Yeah, did it. Okay, let's get rid of you. Cool. It's certainly notable, and especially if this header kind of goes apart. You know, it has kind of this balance with this other green one, so I don't mind it. I'm not sure it's great. I mean, in a funny kind of way, it'd almost be an opportunity maybe to use that sea foam, which would be just right if that ends up working. Let's make you white. Then let's try Oh man, did I find a way to use seafoam? I could retire. I did it. Shoot, where was the edge? Uh-oh. And go loose. Okay, I'm going to use this to get to the side. Let's get the similar spacing since I managed to lose it. Okay, did I move the whole thing? I moved the whole thing. Thank you, jointed layers. And again, it's just why I do not like to group things until you're ready to kind of ship it. Okay, there's that. Man, I managed to use seafoam. Good for me. Now, can we seafoam it and then just use a darker seafoam just to make it a little less angry compared to the rest? You know, if everything is loud and bold, then nothing is loud and bold, right? So that's with black, and then we move it up to seafoam just to soften a little bit so it sits in there nicely for us. Dun, dun, dun. Very good. Okay. Making progress, moment by moment, day by day. It is nothing but header. Welcome to the header show. Oh, it almost works as white, but just can't do it. Oh no! Can we do seafoam? Seafoam, seafoam, and then darken it. Oh, that's kind of interesting. It is kind of interesting. Oh, no. Okay, so we got that. So that's black. And that's seafoam. Oh, I like that better. I think I like that better. So we just took the seafoam from the logo and we darkened it so that it would have the proper contrast against the background. Not bad. Now what I am curious too is, like, do we do the same with this? Or are we getting kind of high in our own supply? Again, it just settles it down a tad, as opposed to being... That's a tricky call. Because this is so bold, to have the black just creates this kind of nice... this nice dynamic. But then to have... Actually, we had it as 3, so it's just even that bit of gray to give it. Okay. No, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, hold on. Yeah, you know, it's so subtle. It's like you might as well, you know? I almost want that a tad darker. Yeah, there it is. That is just so... There's so little green in that. So little green to almost not be useful. But just adding that tiny bit of depth, I find. And just tying it in with the green. Yeah, I tend to like that. Okay. Tiny little discoveries. At some point we'll move off of the header, I promise you. But not today. Now, while this is kind of universal, this is like so we got to deal a little bit with this menu, and then we can get moving on. This font is not, unfortunately, really used anywhere else, and I'm not even sure what font that is. That's going to make that a little bit difficult. Bold and sharp like this, it feels a bit... that'd be the right word. Unrefined. Perhaps might be the best way to say that. So I can put it to medium so it still has some prominence. It doesn't, if you kind of look at this, like this feels like nicely in the middle, but then we move across to here and these all kind of feel like it's a little bit up, and that's also kind of fighting with that. So I don't know if that's just a visual thing or if it's in actual fact just not centered. Let's find out. It is not centered, folks. My design eye did not lie. All right. We'll deal with that flag in a second. So let's get that centered between the two. Okay, wait, what color is that? I think that's like a purple, so we're gonna go ahead and put that as, I think because it's in the header, maybe let's not get too silly. Oh boy. Not get too silly with our newfound love of dark seafoam. So let's just put that into the 3. Nice dark gray. I really like to have tight groupings. Oh, 2 things. I do like camel case. This ends up being kind of a preference, but for menuing, I do like camel case. Because this is a sub menu, I would like it just to be a little tighter. Auto layout again. Thank you. Again, that's not a thing about Figma. It's the plugin I use to bring in this site. Auto layout is magic, but... And the only thing I might say... Wait. Okay, we also want to get rid of any kind of color there. Get the right color. Now, technically, you saw me do the visual of it, but I like how this one is sitting. This still feels like if we bring it across, like it's not centered. So let's try to bring it down so it's centered visually to... Let's go like this so we can move it about. Oops, how did I select that? Fine. Okay, we'll just put into the center of that. Okay, that gets us to sit nicely. Super nuanced stuff. Unfortunately, if you're doing this to... better. That's where we were. Come over here, there. So I remove the flag. It's, like the English flag, especially if like the person is American or Australian or Canadian or, it's obvious, but it's not great. But now if I just have the letters EN, is that enough for people to actually understand what the heck I'm talking about? Let's see here. UI language. UI website language. Toggle. Let's see if anyone's got some interesting. Fine. No. Where was that? Lululemon? How did you guys do it? Oh, that's pretty good. That's kind of nice. So this little globe icon with the... you could do it as a country. The challenge is be like if you are... we're not serving specifically a... Okay, can I just copy this icon? That is not bad. Let's go English. Let's go with, I believe I have Bootstrap have the thing for Bootstrap icons, but I don't know that's going to be. It'd be nice if it was subtle, like thin. That's not so bad. We can work with that. Now, the greatest part about this plugin is it just throws it into the middle of nowhere. There it is. It's like, why? That's not helpful in the slightest. All right. You get out of here. My desire here would be to make this and that gray, just because it's secondary, it's sub, it's not as important as the other things, but the problem with gray is then it appears like it's disabled, you know? What if we even put it like in a button? It's not so bad. Okay, I think we can mess with that. I think that's a subtle little improvement again, because there's so many colors. Like maybe I'm not from England, I'm just English. You know, I want to change that site, so I think that helps a little bit. Okay, folks, we're still on the header. We're almost like an hour and 20 minutes in. But here is the shifts to be made. Okay. Next up, what do we got? Expand your reach, stimulate action, increase conversions. Here we go. We got this content here. Let's ungroup. Challenge with ungrouping is eventually it seems to just like lose a bunch of stuff. All right. Stand by as we painstakingly get rid of auto layout so we can be a bit more free to mess around with these visuals. Okay. So again, we got this straight seafoam. Almost works. Probably want a little more space. I'm curious. Just an artifact of the... Oh, interesting. That's not the website's fault. That's just a... Okay, SVG, do you have... Why do you have a white background? Technical difficulties. Let's ungroup that and play around. That's what I wanted to avoid. That's okay. I'm not very bullish on this circle, so if I ungroup, are you gonna mess up? Not enough. That's fine. Okay, stimulate action. Increase conversion. Now, can we be bold enough to have that on the background? Probably not, but let's see what we can do. Yeah, I didn't, kind of just fell into that, but it's sort of like remove the visual elements and just let the three of these kind of speak themselves. And then this way, give these all a bit more breathing room. This, I want you to touch there. Let's get you to the cross. Boom, boom, boom. All the correct that. We want to get rid of this purple, so let's get that into the 3. A nice gray. Do we need any lines to help with structure? Real soft fray line just to give a bit of structure to these three things floating. Maybe unnecessary, but let's find out. Does it help or hinder? Man, it's almost, I almost want this to go further out, but it'd be nice to keep everything tight. Let's go. How big is this? 21. How big is this? It is grouped for some reason. You're 18. Probably about enough. Yeah, I think we can stick with 18. 1, 2, 3. The other thing we could do is try to use this same green. Well, that kind of works. I don't mind that. What I'm kind of not liking is how close these two are, but then you got this kind of negative space that I don't like. This is like, that's kind of boring. There's no like kind of interesting transition. I mean, I could try to do something silly by having like it 1, 2, 3, but I think this, you know. It ends up just like, it's a fine line between an interesting design element and what looks like a mistake, where someone's going to call in and email. It's like, hey, the your website's broken. Hey, Evac, how you doing? So 1, 2, 3. So we'll kind of go with that. Let's keep rolling with some of these other parts. What animations do we make? Let's see. Auto layout, get out of here. Let's go with an ungroup. Lost our background, but why not? Okay, we are now getting into, what are we doing? So I like having these, you know, I like having white boxes. Like, and again, I'm a sucker for like white boxes with drop shadows, always have been. My challenge with it is like just how tight it all is. Like, it all just ends up being so crowded within this space. All right. And we have 4 things. We have 4 columns that we have to put across. We have that much space to work in. 2D animation figure, website app, whiteboard. So options we could have would be to have a grid, so 1, 2, 3, 4, or we could play around with how the cards are shown. So I largely get the feeling when I do this we might lose some of the styling, but let's see what happens. Ungroup. Oh, you auto layout. Ungroup. Let's get these elements in. You know what, I don't think I need to do the ungroup. If I do ungroup, I probably get rid of the auto layout anyways. Oops. What was that? Okay, ungroup. 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 Did I hit flatten or hit an ungroup? Okay, well, whatever. We'll work with these. I get the feeling that that is attached to the frame as opposed to an element, so I'm probably going to lose it on each, but that's okay. We can redraw squares. Somewhat of a specialty of mine. Effects, drop shadow. Great. Okay, so what do we make? You know, I might say Especially if these guys have a big client in IBM. What's kind of nice is I'd almost in some ways prefer to get this up there because it's sort of. So what do? We do animation videos. Oh, okay. Are you any good? Well, we work with some of these like huge companies. Oh, it kind of puts to rest immediately. Are you capable? Are you good? And then you can just kind of like name drop some of these like big places, and immediately you are. You're just seen as like better. So I wouldn't mind even bringing it up before to get into what they're doing. But I'll fix what animations do we make first, then we'll kind of think about that. So we got this here. Soften it. Yeah, let's just go with that. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just like I kind of wish it wasn't the YouTube red playing, but it's almost like it'd be curious to see what would happen if we put it onto Vimeo or some other kind of hosting service, just so we could control a bit more what it looks like when it plays, or if it could just be just a thumbnail, and then when you click it, it does a layover. That's actually kind of interesting. Let's go to the site. Close this because we successfully stole their language thing, which was great. You'll notice a lot as I'm designing, I'm Googling a lot. People have really solved most of the problems we're going to come across. What I was curious about is when I click this, yeah, it's a layover. So having this, interesting. Okay. I think what we can do is we can take the, I'd have to kind of get into each of these thumbnails. Yeah, that's a bit more from what we can probably do tonight, but what I'd suggest is just getting these thumbnails. Well, actually, let's try this. Can I get rid of the... Yeah, let's try... Again, I would hope that the actual builder of the website would spend the appropriate time getting the thumbnails. Are you auto layout? Of course you are. Now what's your size? So we definitely want a play button. Like we want to be crystal clear that when they play, but just doing it this way gives us a bit more control of it, so we don't have these big red yelling YouTube icons, right? Let's bring up the icons. It's going to make me bring it up 3 times. Play. Let's go with this one. Whoa. Yeah, okay. And then one more time. Circle. Oops, grabbed the wrong one. Nuts. Okay. And then filled. Watch this for a trick for how to travel through time. So I need to go back a few steps to grab the right one. So I'm just going to go in here and copy. So I've copied the new one that I placed. But now I can undo, undo, undo. Okay, because I grabbed the wrong one there. There we go. And now if I paste, I still get the new one that I'd placed. So by copying before you undo, you can kind of like jump through time and get what you need. One of my favorite tricks. Nope, Let's see, vector, vector. Great. Group, and you two are alone. Let us see which of these three would be the most pronounced and obvious. Tell you what, you come on down. I think it's going to need to be white with a drop shadow. But again, even with that, like you could, because these are just images that you would then have invoke the playing, like you could have complete design control what these would look like. Okay, so I think that needs to be white. Let's do a drop shadow. Just to make sure it could be seen. I think that's the one. Yeah, because the other two a bit noisy. Okay, now can we putz around with any of our colors? Does it make any sense to bring along this same crazy button thing? Can we be so bold? Now, what was this? It was like dark sea foam. Yikes. Are you centered? I think you're centered. Center up. Really doing the important work these days. Okay, that's kind of cool. See, that just like a bit more visually interesting, sits with the rest of it. Let's roll with that. Okay, real quick, we're going to grab, so that's the one. Let's get into the next video. Where's the website? Not you, the other website. Aha. Get out and bam, let's get into the next. Let's play, I'll go full screen.
De yield gap wordt door origami gebruikt om tamelijke dromen in beeld te brengen.
Ah man, this is cool.
Maken zowel de urgentie.
Get it here. All right. Let's grab as much as we can. Cool video, man. These guys really are good at what they do. All right. Grab it. Whoop. Again, that is not a great screenshot that you want to feature, but this is with the assumption that they would spend the time to actually design this correctly. Boom. Next. Get out of here. Get out of here. That full screen player is off screen. I don't know how to get to it. There we go. Gone. Next. Cool. Stop. Nope. That's the screen I needed. Okay. Need it to be a bit bigger. Nope. Darn it. Okay. Very good. Copy that. Suppose. I wonder if there's someone to get music on the stream. I wonder if I just started listening to music, if you could hear it. Make it a bit as wonderful as my voice is, I'm sure it'd help a little bit. Okay, you get out of here. You're gone. We need Nope, not that. There we are. One more.
Dit is Gerard. Gerard is grafisch ontwerper en houdt van een groene. Het helpt hem ontspannen. Hij heeft een versteende tuin.
Oh, that is cool, man. Nice video. Oh, and let's grab that scene. That's cool. Okay, as much as possible. Nope, cut off his face. There. Good. Do. Let's see. Not bad. Where are we looking? Okay. Let's copy this, let's get it in. And then we got the 4 videos. Like, I just saw those videos too. Like, this company's doing great work. Like, it would be really nice to like blow these out a little bit. I think it'd also be nicer with a bit more time. It's like you could take the individual elements of these ones and, you know, like take these characters in this house and then have that as the banner and then have the video just in the center. So it becomes kind of self-aggrandizing in that sense. But I digress. That would be for a bit more time. Okay, you guys, I'll move down here. So I know it was definitely right for me to have... Let's group. No, they're not going to be the same width. Oops. That's okay. 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's extend it. Okay, how's that for spacing between? That feels okay. Still feels a bit tight. Certainly better than that. Well, almost like kind of looks the same. I don't know if I could say that as much. Now if we have you, what is the drop shadow box I put in? What could it look like? 1, 2, 3, 4. God, I can remember designing all my UIs in Illustrator and not having any of these distribute tools. So you'd have to go through with these, like you'll see me drawing a lot of squares as I'm designing. Because it's so ingrained within my training where I would be, like this is how I'd make sure that everything was spaced correctly, right? Like it was always drawing little squares. And now you whippersnappers designing, you don't know how good you have it. Okay, let's get you 4 to the back. What I am curious about, these all the same height? At least? You are, okay. Let's get, I'm thinking we'll see if we can make them like take up the entire width of each. And see how that looks visually. And again, what would be great is if I had the source material, it'd be kind of cool would be to take like this tree, this guy, and like you play around with it in the boxes itself. I kind of have it live like out somewhere. We got more space. We want to show this stuff off. How's that for a card? Bigger. Okay, let's do that for all of them. God, I absolutely adore this part of Figma where you can just like drag and it like auto fills it. So useful, especially for this like quick, fast designing. Okay, let's get Garden Boy here. Oh, it's not going to look great for a thumbnail, but I think we'll excuse it. Although that I think needs to be bigger. Yeah. Gone. And let's do 3. Now, I don't know that that's... I might have been too clever by half. I don't know that that's obvious enough. To click, right? Do we do more shadow or do I have to make it... So options would be to use the dark seafoam. That's not great. We could play with the drop shadow. Make it a bit more obvious. I think that'll be okay. Now I get the feeling this is all of the purple as opposed to the new green that we discovered. Worked pretty well. So let's change that. I think it's also good, because it is in the content now, I think we might be able to put that just as gray. Ugh, look at this purple just like fighting. Put this up here. Now let's grab all of this center. I'm not convinced this is visually striking enough, given that this is kind of the, in a sense, like the meat of it, right? This is the thing that we do, you know? What are we doing for chats? Very good. So I think that's better, right? So we get rid of the obnoxious kind of YouTube red. I almost want to play around with this play button a bit more to make sure it's obvious. But again, I think at very least the idea of having this background is probably the right one. And then because it's the squares, we can reuse the this border breaking. That might provide some visual interest. So I'll do that, and then what I can do is I can try a different grid where it's squares instead. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Go like up a 2 by 2 instead. So let's box it up. Now what color are we going to do though? I'll tell you what, for this we had taken our seafoam and then we brought it down to 40. Like this we might want to bring all the way down to like 20. So it's not competing with that header. Man, even less maybe. Like just a touch of color. Okay, let's have that go across. Now is it over repeating to use these again? I think so. Yeah, that's getting a bit too fresh. Okay, now can we have it break the boxes just for some bit of visual interest? Enough space on the header, so it's interesting. Get these guys up, and then we have it break the background, so it kind of keeps dragging them down, dragging them down, dragging them down. Okay. It's not bad. What animations did we make? 1, 2, 3, 4. Do iconography make sense there? I don't think so. I think it's just going to be busy. Again with this. That's kind of fine, but I think it's just visual noise. I don't think that's going to be helping very much. Okay, what animations do we make? God, you could spend hours just like touching those pixels as far as like where does it actually go. Oops, didn't mean to cut that. Just trying to see if there's any way to kind of work back in the triangle angle, but again, I think we're just being like, if I'm doing that type of stuff, I think I'm just being like too cute by half. It's not really adding anything. It's just, you know, it's kind of like not having confidence in the layout work. Where it's like, well, we gotta jazz it up, otherwise how is it gonna look good? Maybe? I'll leave it for now. We'll come back. Okay, you four, get out of there quick. Let's do another variation. Let's get them 4x4, 2x2. Videos go marching 2x2. Hurrah, hurrah. Okay, what I want to do is same idea. Let's add a bit more spacing this time. Just given that they're going to be larger. Not that much. Nope, that's too far. Let's try that. One. Okay, let's do it this way. How much space do I want? Great. And now let's stretch it to fit the width. Got it. Okay. I'm not sure this is better, but again, I just want to play around and make sure I'm not leaving a stone unturned. Kind of nice that I get to make this bigger. It's going to have to be a bit more square. Nope. Why aren't you behaving as expected? Oh, because I'm on scale. You press K and you are stuck within scale and it's messing around. You press V, it's back on selection. Well, well, well. Is this going to be better? I can't tell you, man. Can't tell you. But dang it, we're gonna try. 1, 2, okay. Is that not centered vertically? Does not seem like it. We can do like a dot 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 and more exclamation point. Pretty sure I'll get rid of that, but let's roll with it for a sec. Get you behind. Let's get you in front. Not sure that's going to be better. Let's see. That goes there. Yeah, I'll tell you this. If you, as the owner and operator of this site, having access to these tools, like the actual like animations, like these assets, like just the thought of having like some of these trees and everything you could throw as part of like a banner section here, like in the corner up over here, would be super cool, I feel. Trying to think, like, can I move that around? I don't think so. Okay, if we change it to crop. Whoops, don't want to do that. That was very important. because it's this, I'm going to want to have that left aligned, but we'll deal with that in a second. I suppose you could have it centered, but something about that layout to me feels like it should be left aligned rather. Graphic whiteboard. Okay. That's so dumb. U3. No, I'm not sure I can pull off the same. It's not as strong if I do it that way, but I mean, if I could put it like that. Now, what do we think looks better? Good question. Is it better to have 1, 2? We are the user. We're going through the site. Generate revenue. Ding! Good idea. This is animating. We can do these 3 things. Or this is a, benefit statement. What do we make? Pink, 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 pink. It's kind of non-colorful. It's almost like you'd want to see something like this orange. It's like probably the accidental happenstance. I think this seafoam, when we made it transparent, seems to fit really nicely with this red. It's kind of counter to what I said, because I did not like this button. And I'd also removed this orange that I was not a fan of, because it just felt like it was arbitrary. But then the same guy comes in and adds this like super red pant fella. I do wonder. Let's see. So we're scrolling down. I don't know, it'd kind of be it's a call you'd want to make, and then it's a complexity we'd have to account for across everything. So, tell you what, let's go ahead and duplicate this over here. Let's get rid of this, just so we could feel it as part of like the flow of everything. Okay, so you talk about that. That almost feels too big now, like we're just getting yelled at. Let's ungroup you. There is a pro version of the website. How big is this? 272. The plugin I use, HTML to Design, that I use to take it in, there's a pro version. I wonder if it has anything else where it lets you remove some, like control the behaviors. So every time I bring something in, I wouldn't have to ungroup it and get rid of the auto layout. That would save me a ton of time. What animations do we make? Then you got these 4. We got our cheeky and more. Just to tell them that the sky's the limit. How big is this? You are 27. What are you? Visually, that feels about the same to me. Okay, so what do we got? It's coming down to 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just with the size of it, just feels crowded, you know? As opposed, yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to land here, but I honestly do think this is better. It just breathes a bit more. The images end up being not crazy larger, but somehow larger. It's currently, currently have that centered aligned. I wonder if I should be left aligning it. Let's try that. Let's make this as best we can. What's your width? 267. Ah, 267. Get back. It is. Well, what is half of this box? A nice, beautiful round number that is. 28582. I could be good at math, or I could just be good at squares. And I'm a designer, so I'm better at squares than I am at math. Huh. I accidentally seem to have nailed it on the head. That is 291. I don't think that's the actual mathematical version of it. I tend to like even numbers besides. Let's go 290. Okay. The problem is now that the text feels a bit crowded. So that's that. Cool. Let's duplication's your buddy. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's try left align, see if it looks better for organization. Yeah, it's so important to try. Mess around, play, test, see what you think, because I very legitimately did not think I was going to like this new layout. But there's something about just the minute nature of what ultimately is the product that we're trying to sell here, right? That just didn't sit quite right with me. So, you know, there's a decent argument to go with this one, or to consider just having 3 to focus, or have this like in a carousel or like an autoplay. There'd be a lot of like different like things you could play with, for sure. Now, the thing we're trying right now is to left align it. See if that looks better for the text. And because of the way I brought it in, I'm going to have to do 1,000 ungroups to get to the core. I'm telling you, you watch some YouTubers with Figma, and they're just so in love with the power of the platform as opposed to the output of it. You know, it's sort of like if you could use a pencil and paper to achieve the same a better result, they'd almost want to forego it just because they love Figma's systems, the systems of it, and in that way almost becoming like more engineers than designers. I think I'm gonna retract this a bit because I just need a bit more space so this text can breathe. Move it centered. It could be green, it could be white, it could be another blue too. Okay, so left aligned, centered. Yeah, left align. At some point it's going to be preference, and it's hard to say. It's like clearly everybody, you can see that, you can look at that and tell it's better. But with the organization of where this would go, like the floating of this, centered is fantastic for some content or very brief things, but to overuse it just makes it kind of difficult to read and loses the media. I kind of appreciate like the sort of classic expected card view of content on the left and then information on the right, and that's all left aligned. So I think ultimately that ends up being a lot smoother. So let's how's that all flowing together? Are you guys this centered? Yes, it is. Okay. I was just noticing this box wasn't going all the way to the edge, so not. Oh, there it is, and there it is. Now, does it make any sense to just be kind of flat in that way? Let's get rid of this cheeky and more. You know, I think it just introduce the line break up there and kind of continue it throughout and just create a bit of visual interest. Now, where is it coming out? Let's go above that, and let's go below that, just to have it be meaningful. Okay. Excellent. That is... yeah, so I will keep this. And there's nothing else in this one that's different from the others, so we'll get rid of that one. Let's move this in. You know what we would need... I was trying to think, like, would you want like a play button on this? Like, so that's like you hit this and it goes, plays a explainer video. I think one of the failures of the design I've kind of achieved here is this blank space. This is bothering me quite a bit. But I mean, to have it flat like that is that a lesser sin? Maybe. I adore having boxes that break, but okay, let's grab that. Let's stretch that out so those can... It kind of just depends, like what you're feeling on, like how big of a sin is it to have this negative space? And because it's certainly the more impactful, interesting design, creates like an interesting story for the flow, sets us up for other design decisions as we go. You know, like it sets up this next visual and kind of gives us like a language to speak to, and it helps us avoid being too blocky, right? But you just get this sort of weird... okay. That's an accidental fix. How much more time can someone possibly spend on the header? Well, man, they don't get past the header, they're not seeing the rest of the cool website. So in some ways, it almost all becomes useful. Let's put you about down here. It's got to be within the seat. So the problem is now, like, we're really playing with this specific image. Like, you'd have to kind of redo this in a sense for whatever actual photo you pull out from content from the site. But man, I almost want to make this bigger now too. And that too loud because then it becomes like desperate. You know, you want to have some degree of confidence. No, that's still the same problem. Almost feels like that's never. That's worse. Like I've gone at it, made it worse than it already was. Trying to be too clever by half. Let's see if we put that. I don't like how that text is too close to the desk, but. Conversion increasing sales and explainer videos for SMEs and startups. I could cheat a bit and just move you. Yeah, I'm not sure that's like less negative space. It is. It is. All right. And again, just kind of straddling the line to break the visuals and draw attention and help with flow. That does sit fairly nicely. Let's move you up a bit. Let's move you up a bit. Okay, 3 good options. I think this kind of ends up winning a bit because, yeah, I was struggling with this negative space balance issue I'd created, and then this kind of creates an interesting fix for that. Okay, I'm just reducing the size because I don't like the size of the font where it feels too large, which is counterintuitive because it's almost like you reduce the font size so it's of better quality and more noticeable. If everything is huge, then it kind of reeks of desperation or of low quality. Okay, put you there. Let's get you here. I'm really just kind of like fiddling with the edges here. Okay. This feels the best, honestly, at this stage, but I'm going to keep all 3 of these because that's going to be a good place to wrap it up for the night. Let's go with, let's get this guy over here. I think this is what I'm going to continue on next time I come around. I'm going to delete all this. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Just to kind of keep that stuff up there. This was just like flat. Yeah, some of my experimentations, like how we started to arrive at that. That stuff I always love to see. Same thing here. We don't need to keep this version of it for just a header playing around with. Okay. That is not too bad. Hey, a few more folks in the stream. Welcome. I was about to sign off, but if you do want a quick look at a design, if there's any help you need with design, do feel free to post in the chat before I wrap it up here for the night. But the place where we had started, so here was the site, and here's where we've started to end up. I'm pretty happy. That's pretty stark. I'm pretty happy with that. When I first started, I was like, how far can we actually take this within reason? And I look at this and I'm pretty pleased with the output. And again, I think one of the keys would be to have this thing animating. If this thing could be an animated GIF to kind of just drive home the point that this is an animation company, I think that plays it huge. I think that's fantastic. So this is where we had started. We had this, the challenge we'd kind of introduced is hey, can you use this seafoam green? This green is difficult. Now, why would we try to? Because it's part of the logo. Here is the logo, which has that very green. So, okay, can we mess with it? Yeah, we did. And the only thing we had to do was reduce, like add some weight to it basically. To do so, when I was doing my experimentation, we had started here with like it's 100%. Which even now, like that, you could kind of get away with that. The way, like, because now the layout is a bit fresher and it's interacting with the white pieces, it's not just a stark green place. It almost starts to pan out and work. But, you know, I think now in this case, we'd want to have, this is white, right? And also too, like by adding these just design elements. So these squares, the one thing I did is I came into here for the previous logo, it had a purple. But this is the one place this purple existed, and this purple does not seem to sit nicely at all with this green. So I would make the recommendation, which doesn't feel like it's too far of a jump, make it black. Just have it as the black as with the rest of it. And so what we're going to do is we'll double down on this seafoam green. And we had landed here. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Like, so I had it there. Let's do a bunch of undos. Let me get back to where I was. Okay. So I get to this dark green. We took that seafoam and then we just we brought it down, added some black, which made it into this one. And now that's been used throughout. I was curious if we could use this, this hyper like vibrant green, this neon green, but it again kind of works. Like when it's sitting with the rest of it and well placed, it sort of does it. The other kind of larger challenge I saw was with the spacing of that. Like I loved how this broke it up. It kind of creates this like interactive nature with the animation, but it left with a lot of white space, as could be seen in this version. So just to balance that out, we extended the box down and then put that button right there. And then we flow through and gets into that. Gets into the next, like what animations. And these I decided to blow out, like we had it. With the animations, which is, this company sells animations. So we want to show these visuals. We want to show where they go. And the place where this seems to almost hide the punchline. And the thing is too, like if you go to the website, the animations are fantastic. Like they really speak to themselves. Like I'd almost like to see these again as like animated GIFs. I mean, that's a lot of animation. You have to almost be careful, but like you'd want to like bring it out. Like the stuff is fantastic. These thumbnails aren't great. I just grabbed like screenshots so I could do like my design that I needed to do. But the visuals of it, like I think it, you know, like let's make them larger. Let's make it bigger. Like these other products, like let's feature it. Let's have it big and bold. So I think that all like serves quite well. So here's where we started. This was our starting point. And through all that, here's where we started to land. And quite immediately, I think, you know, like there's going to be taste. Maybe this isn't exactly to your taste. And maybe, you know, you'd see 4 or 5 different versions and you choose something different. But I think we can say, I feel fairly confident, that it is a visual improvement from where we were. Now, yeah, so I got, you know, so just talking to the stream here, we've had numbers kind of pop up. So there's like, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 people here have kind of showed up. There was the initial offer that if you want some design work, some free design work, logo, app, website review, portfolio review, I would do so. So just before I wrap up for the night, happy to take that. I'll kick on here for another, let's call it 5-10 minutes, see if a request comes in, and otherwise we'll be looking to wrap it up. In that time, what I'll do next, I can just probably do this pretty quickly, is I'll work on the companies we work with. But yeah, if you are looking for some design guidance, design help, portfolio review, want something designed, just toss a request in the chat there. Let me check out Twitch. Make sure we're looking okay. Not too shabby. Okay, so yeah, we'll give it the, call it the 10-minute countdown. And to, just while we wait for that, we'll work on the companies we work with. Now, same, like, so 2 issues with this. This is amazing. And the fact that they've done something with IBM, just as soon as you can have some big company, and it's like, hey, we've done work with these people before. It just goes so far into lending the company credibility. So I love being able to feature logos. Now, challenge here is, again, it's very much the same situation we have with these boxes where they're very tight. There is not a lot of spacing. And then because there's spacing upon spacing, you get the actual content itself has to continually shrink down. So it's even close to legible, which ultimately, unfortunately, it's not quite. So what we will do is I'm going to break it out and see where we land. I'm not sure that we're going to see if it ends up in boxes or not boxes. Not quite sure. First thing for me to do is spend half an hour ungrouping everything. To get to the actual logos themselves. Makes for stunning television. Now, what are you guys part of? Ugh, the auto layout. Okay. If I go flatten. No, that is not a good idea. Okay, let's see. Group and group and group and group. I just want to get to the logos. Okay, I think these are just photos now. Cool. Okay. Let's do this one more time. Excellent. Okay. So this is the old purple. What size do we got here? That's 52. This is within 6 or 7 layers, of course. 56. Okay. You know, ideally, again, if you're actually working with a client, you would be looking to establish a brand and establish like a style guide so you can put everything through. But, you know, here we are working live. We're having a good time. So we'll kind of just rely on the fact that we think we can get it done. Now, I had brought up some examples as a full screen of other companies in the space. This I've always liked, and especially I do like the gray treatment because it just doesn't let it signifies that you're with them, but it doesn't let their styling kind of overtake the thrust of what you're trying to show. So I thought that's always a bit better. Let's see if anyone else has an interesting treatment we can leverage. Portfolio matching needs. Okay, this is a really small aside. I don't mean to throw shade at any company. I hope these guys are doing really great. But this girl, like if you go to, I think she's one of the first people that show up on Splash. Like if you just search woman or a smiling woman. Let's see, woman. At least she was there she was number 1 for ages. Let's try smiling woman maybe. Okay, so Unsplash being a phenomenal resource for free photos. Smiling woman. Looks like she went down the rankings. Okay, so anyways, so that's too bad. We'll try one more time with Happy Woman. Because that photo, that stock photo has shown up. I've used it in one of my portfolio pieces. That photo shows up like right away too. Let's try Happy Woman. There she is. Okay, see, there she is. So like, I laugh. Like I'm no better. It's in some of my things too, but it's just such a fantastic photo. Like the expression and the depth of everything happening with the camera. Like I've seen it on a bus here in town. Like that's how popular it is that it's being used on public transportation advertisements. Absolutely love it. So yeah, I'd be curious to know how she feels about her stock photography fame because she has just shown up in so many advertisements. Oh wow, that's a fantastic photo. This guy should be across from more. Same with this one too. Just a real nice natural smile. Okay. Sorry, I digress. So just the other funny things too is like whenever it's part of testimonials, like maybe Taylor Leonard actually exists, maybe not. Who can say? Anyway, no shade. Like I said, perhaps it just needed a visual representation. I could respect that. And this site, in fact, actually looks kind of nice. I was looking for a client thing. Don't like this. That's blocky and boring. The ratings are kind of nice, but that's, again, not what we're looking for. Awards, floating boxes. Okay, my two general thoughts is the way to do it is just like this. I mean, the problem would be the sizing. Like you could do it as a kind of like almost like a cloud. We'll have them kind of like float and not necessarily be one on top of the other. We could also just reduce the size of all of them. Okay, where's the siding? Okay, so we can drag you all the way there. We can drag you all the way there. Okay, let's spread you out. Spread this out. And then definitely some visual spacing. Okay. Let's make that our new dark Robusta seafoam green. The other thing I thought of is, and this would depend on a bit of development, you could always have it as scrolling. Okay, let's get rid of these ones here. So you just have a, you know, it's kind of just a numbers game. You're trying to show, ideally you're showing some of them that people might recognize, and then just have this scroll across the entire time. So the whole thing is just kind of like constantly scrolling, which I kind of like that. It's sort of like, because there's a subtlety too, like you're bragging about who you've worked with, and this just sort of, it's like, hey, we worked with a lot, and then you have your maybe perhaps like biggest name client, and then you know they kind of get the joke at that point, but you have everything kind of nicely spaced out. I think that's the way to do it. I think that's, yeah, we could try to have it like up top here before that, but I don't know that that's a nice flow as far as, okay, like this goes down. Let's get rid of this for now. This would be like as seen on, or so make this like kind of like medium. Probably even less. Not sure this is the right approach. You know, basically, like the joke I'm trying to tell here to be something like this, like more ideally. Let's see, is there like a? Do one of these give me a grayscale? Again, you would want to appropriately update each of the logos, but a quick fix for that, especially if you just paste it in an image, if you use the kind of visibility or opacity type, you can go to luminosity here. That removes all the color, and then if you want to like just have it sit down a bit more in the distance, right? So the question there is now, how do I label that? Did one of the sites have that solved? Not sure they did. Yeah, see, this one doesn't even like mention it. It just kind of puts the logo and kind of gets you to like catch the joke. You know what I mean? Like, so that would be. Not sure I like it more or less. Okay, so the arguments are: you arrive, there's the banner. Get that. Here's what we do, here's what we make, and then companies we work with. As opposed to saying videos that generate revenue, and then we kind of quickly just mention like, oh, by the way, we worked all this for all these companies, like we're kind of a big deal, or we're trusted by like big companies, and then get into, you know, so this is like what and why we do this transition is not okay. So this transition header to the thing of logos, nice, expected, good, okay. To the next, like, these are the benefits of it. That's not a nice transition. That's a lot of iconography and images going on. So I like this. Not this doesn't work. So you could bring these ones up, or like, you know, you're starting to get kind of. It would feel to me. I mean, I'm not even necessarily certain that the removal of color is necessary, you know? It feels to me that this is the angle. Now, do we need to define the space? I don't think we do. Nah, it doesn't really add anything. Okay, this would be my leaning. I'll leave this in because I'm going to wrap it up here for the night. Come back to this one next week to continue the design sessions, but just because I want to consider tackling this, because there is something about, we produce animations, like we are a company that does this thing, you should trust us. Oh, they've done work with IBM. Like that's impactful and that's useful, but you know, it's as far as like the visual, the flow, the story, I'm not sure that it is giving us the thing that we want. So okay, that will wrap it up for the night. Everybody, thank you so much for being on the stream. If you want to get in contact with me, feel free to contact me, follow me here on Twitch. Otherwise, you can find me on my Twitter at Alexander Trevor, or on my website, Just Enough Design, or justenough.design, or Ugly Design Career. As well, too, if you search up my name, Trevor Alexander, on ADP List, I do free mentoring sessions, design review, design careers, portfolio reviews, whatever, however I might be able to help. So hope tonight was a good time for everyone that watches, and cheers to your great looking work. Ciao.